Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Just going to get myself sat down. And so today, slightly different topic, but trying to hang around the same kind of stuff at the moment. So subject that I want to talk about is why life isn't changing, and a few truths that I've had to, I don't know if is that a word? Truth? I don't bloody know. But anyway, a few things that I've had to learn around, self-sabotage and routine, motivation, all those kinds of things. So let's kind of get into it. So if you feel like you're doing some things right now, you may be trying, you may be ticking some boxes, not all of them, this video is exactly what you need. And most people aren't stuck. They're just repeating the same thing day in and day out. And I say it all the time, maybe if you go in, for example, let's take steps as an example. You might go into your Apple Health or whatever you use, and you might say some days are maybe 6,000, some days are maybe 400 steps, some days 10,000, and you're just not really moving forward. Despite having maybe a great day, maybe the 10,000, something like that, those days where you're doing next to now, not leaving the house, not making any effort is what is upsetting things for you. And I've lived this, I've had clients that's lived this. And today I'm going to break down some reasons as to why you're not actually moving forward. So the first thing, you're not actually stuck, you're just comfortable. Now, this was something for me when I left Empower. I ended up in another call centre. I got made redundant at Empower over the lockdown and everything like that. So I had to move on a bit quick, unfortunately. And in that job for the first couple of months, I was just kind of comfortable doing it. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do long term, but I wasn't exactly stuck. It was just a comfort zone. I didn't really enjoy it. I hated it a little bit, but I knew that I needed to get out of there, and it was a little bit overwhelming at times. Sales targets, things like that, tiring. I was unmotivated, and things like that are just maybe a little bit familiar for you as well. And that was me on the brink of staying in that job too long and just repeating the same cycles. I knew that being in that office job where I couldn't sort of have as much freedom to get up and about, and the way the shifts kind of worked, it was very much sort of early starts to get into the gym, and by the time shift was done, I was kind of done for the day, and there was work that you had to do from home as well to hit targets and things like that, which was kind of optional, but you sort of need to do it to make sure you got things done. And change only happens when staying the same becomes more painful than doing the work, So for me, for example, in that job, it was getting to the point where I was doing some work when I was watching the telly at night. And some people in that job loved it, doing the social media outreach, things like that, to try and get sales and stuff through the channels that they had. But for me, I kind of thought when things end at 5 o'clock, work should be done, and that should be that until the next day. But in order to hit target, unfortunately, you had to do bits outside of work. And it was getting to the point where I was kind of having no life, And that's the thing where you don't want to get to that point. You don't want to get to the point where you really need to make that change because you are really hating things. Like, that's just not good. That stress will cross over into other areas with friends, relationships, everything like that. So again, sometimes your normal days maybe you're self-sabotaging. So just the little things that rack up. So your snoozing alarms, your poor food choices, and I mean things like having a bowl of Frosties for your breakfast, being a child, or getting a slice of toast and walking out the door. Going down like exercise only when you're motivated, maybe going out for a walk only when you're motivated. Just sitting and scrolling in bed all day. The whole attitude of can't be bothered. Can't be asked. I'll go another day. These become standards and habits, which are mistakes. When you put standards and things higher, you're going to get better results. So this is the second thing, that I'm talking about here, standards. So my own transformation has been the thing of where I've done the work even when I haven't wanted to. That's when I've got the best results. Yeah, I've maybe maintained for periods of time, things like that. I know earlier in the year when I've had 2 holidays, I've kind of been a little bit similar in between those holidays, because I knew I had another one coming up. I had the Great North Run as well to do. So that week I didn't train because I had the run on the weekend. And there are going to be off phases, and that's okay, but we don't want these off phases going for weeks and weeks, because you're just setting yourself even further back. Once you raise the standards, you put things in. So, for example, every Monday, I will ensure I get a podcast episode done. I've just managed to get a guest so by the time this video comes out, it'll be for tomorrow. So hopefully we're going to have Dan McNabb on, which is going to be brilliant. So with that, I make sure that every Monday there's like a guest or something that I do, and I've done that for 18 weeks in a row. So that's 18 weeks worth of content. I'm able to make reels out of it for Instagram, things like that. Makes my life easy. But just setting that standard in is very good. For me, putting in things like getting my steps done, the 10,000 a day that I'm trying to hit at the moment, it's been hit without failure. That's just the standard I've put in, that gets done, whether it's raining outside, whether I need to get the walking pad out, indoor treadmill, whatever, go to the gym to get them done if the weather's really bad. Whatever it is, it gets done. Sometimes this brings us into the third point, so I'm trying to get this video timed down. I appreciate some of them have been maybe a little bit long, but your environment can often be dragging you backwards. I've touched on this briefly before, but you won't be able to out-train or out-discipline a bad environment. So what I'm talking about that is, friends that may be dragging you down, poor relationships that you may be in, or, obviously poor relationship at any one time. Could be people you live with. Sometimes it's not always possible to get out of that, but trying to minimize your time there is very, very useful. Negativity. So being around negative people with a negative outlook, they may be coming out the same rubbish all the time, that they hate the job or they're sick of being fat, whatever. But at the same time, they're not doing anything about it. They're not making that extra effort to get out of these situations. Any drama, things like that, people that are causing bother, that kind of thing, all that sets you back massively, particularly the drama. So I do want to just quickly touch on that. And I'm going to use my last relationship as an example of that. So it was very brief, and I was fortunately kind of got out of it. But with that, it was the thing of, there'd be drama on messages, there'd be drama on the phone, maybe be a little bit of drama in person, and you didn't know what was coming next. You were on eggshells. You were a little bit, don't know what's coming, don't know what she's going to do, what she's going to say. All that absolutely hammers your cortisol, which is essentially your stress. So when cortisol's high, we're stressed. That means it's going to impact how much water we hold in our body. So if we're trying to lose body fat, we're going to see the scale going a little bit up and down. It's cortisol, it's stress hormone, it's water retention. It's not that we're not losing fat. But again, if we're seeing that scale jumping about, that's going to again stress us out. So the more stress we keep putting in an environment, even if it's just triggered by something we might think small, then we need to do something about it. So one thing I would say as well, I don't have any accurate data of the last relationship, but a previous one from a couple of years back. I know that when I finally walked away for good, honestly, I'm not kidding, in about 3 days, I lost 3 kilos in a flash. I really did. And it had nothing to do with diet change. Obviously, I went out with friends, had a pint to celebrate. That had come to an end. But yeah, a couple of years back, I was in a bit more of a long-term thing, and that wasn't good. And like I say, honestly, I'm not kidding, about 3 kilos went practically overnight. And that was simply because of stress, cortisol, just had my central nervous system battered for months on end by this person. So once you get out of that, that is going to help massively. You're not going to be able to out-train or out-discipline that. Okay, and that's maybe something for another video. I might. I think that's probably worth talking about a little bit more about my experiences there. So, for example, if you maybe living at home, parents, things like that, and they're not supporting you, maybe bringing you down, you need to try and get something together where you can get out of there. One thing that's common as well that I'll be honest, I've not really had, but I know some clients have had, is mates mocking you, so-called mates, take the piss out of you for goals and stuff like that, what you might have been working towards, maybe even causing you to engage in sort of behaviour that's not conducive to goals or performance. So, for example, if you're training for a half marathon, I had a client doing this, trained for a half marathon, but his mates were still wanting to go to the pub, wanting him to have a drink. that kind of thing. That's being around those enablers, if you like, it is going to negatively impact you. So changing your environment or changing within your environment, if you're perhaps on the opposite end, maybe you're the guy who's wanting to be like your friends, get inspired by them, work towards things a bit more, that's great. But one of these things has to change. Fourth point, there's not much left, but you want motivation instead of momentum. We've all done it. We've all sat in bed on a morning, we've all gone, oh, can't be bothered, I'll not go today. We've all done it. I did it for a lot. I've did it for a long time, on and off. It's not really until, I would say, the last 18 months where I've really been hammering things, and particularly for the last 7 weeks now, everything for me has been perfect. Not a cardio session missed, no steps missed, no training sessions missed, nothing. Food, ticked, sleep, adherence to plan, everything. Absolutely spot on. So for me, I've improved my life massively through, the running, the coaching side of things, getting ready to do photo shoots, having holidays where I've wanted to be in good shape for, using that as goals. And none of that came from motivation, so, excuse me. Sorry about that. I can't be bothered to edit that out. I apologise. But anyway, one thing I will say is the last Great North run that I did, so in September just gone, I did get up that morning. I was thinking, my shin, because I'd struggled with a stress fracture previously, and never quite been right since then. I kind of just been getting shin splints, which I'd struggled with anyway prior to that stress fracture. So the point I'm making is, the past Great North run, I was waking up on that morning just thinking, I just don't think I can do it. I'll just, and I had a few clients doing it, I'll be honest, I had a few clients doing it, and I was like, I should probably just message them and just say, I'm a bit injured, so I can't do it. You'll be fine. Do well, guys. Get me some pictures. But I showed up and I did it. I was slow by the standards that I'd set. I mean, in particular, I didn't train for it. So there was that. I thought, can I actually run 13 miles? But fortunately, I did it 2 hours 14 and 59 seconds. So, and I had clients do it quicker than me, which obviously I was very pleased about. But the point is, again, that day, I had the self-doubt around, can I actually run? Because I hadn't ran, aside from a couple of little 10 minutes here and there, trying to assess if my shin and stuff like that was okay, and the shin splints in general was okay, since May. So since the half marathon in May, which was in Leeds, which was an absolute disaster. That took, again, that was about, I think that was 2 hours 15 or 2:16. And that was disastrous because of, again, shins flaring up, things like that, which was very bad. But fortunately, I got it done. That was very much a day where there was self-doubt, worried about injury, got through it, wasn't a problem. Panic over nothing, I didn't feel motivated when I was 20 stone. You're waking up on a morning, you see yourself in the mirror, you're a bit embarrassed, you feel a bit desperate. But getting the momentum, that's what fixes things. When I was at my worst, it was about 2017. That was probably some of the pictures that I've shared in the past. That was when I was probably at my worst. I was aged, I think it was 22 at the time. But what I'd do is I was in a job which was, there was a little bit of activity, but it was pretty much office based. And it got at the point where I get up on a morning, I'd walk to the swimming, the leisure centre, the Edge at Leeds. I would swim a mile before I went to work. I would go to work, I would do my weights on the night, I would do some boxing training. I was at the Hunslet Boxing Club just for cardio. And that's what I did. Sometimes if there was chance on a lunch break, I might go to the gym, things like that. But essentially, I could be training up to 3 times a day. But that's what worked. That's what lost me the weight, Last part, not going to do too much today on this, but you don't have any sort of systems in place. Now, I don't really like that word, but you don't have things in place for, feelings, motivation, mood, stress levels, the whole good and bad days. Your systems that I'm talking about comes from your routines, your step targets, your fixed training days, your non-negotiables, removing emotions from decisions, setting some proper goals for yourself that are decent, planning over just hoping for something to happen, reps and doing work over how you feel, sticking to the plan, not the mood. So you keep quitting too early as well. That's something that I've got written down here that I thought about. You maybe do great Monday to Wednesday, then you maybe make a mess of it Thursday. You think, oh, it's okay, I'll just start again Monday. The bad habits, bad momentum continues to happen. Most people stop right before true momentum kicks in. Give yourself, I think we've talked about this in another video, like 90 days. I'm actually going to do a full video on this. 90 days where we're going to kind of look into what is going to work, and it's going to be about fixing your life in 90 days. It's going to be a full framework that you're able to implement, get stuck in with, and I guarantee that is going to be the best thing to do. I think that's probably going to be the next video I'll do, so please keep an eye out. That should be dropping about Friday. Accountability is missing, so I'm not saying about coaching or anything like that, but just have a mate, have someone that you check in with, that you say, hit my steps today. Or I mean, there's some fantastic challenges you can do as well. I know through the Aura Ring and Samson Health, you can have like a little group where you track things together, think you do things through Strava. Accountability helps collapse that gap between intention and action. It's very, very useful. There's many people that I've coached. The one who win and do well are the ones that stay accountable. It's the clients that actually do the check-ins. It's the clients that keep in touch. It's the clients that pick the phone up when there's a problem. It's the clients that reach out. That's when the winning's done. That's when the results happen. Okay? Accountability is everything. Quick fire thing around the solutions to sort this out. Raise your standards, set some systems, not emotional decisions. Build some momentum. Don't just rely on your motivation. Fix your environment, stay accountable. Don't quit during a low period, and understand that discomfort is the price of progress. That is what I'm going to leave you with. If you're tired of your own excuses, your own nonsense, then start the day. Comment ready if you want more videos like this. I know we're starting to get a few views, small time, but views are views. And if you want help building structure, momentum, drop me a line on Instagram. I'll point you in the right direction and give you a bit hand. Till the next one, God bless, take care, I'll see you soon, bye-bye. That's another one in the can.